Hi, my name is Oni, and this is my speech 3 outline. How hard would you say it was to get into college? And I know for some people, myself included, it was a hard and grueling process where you constantly have to worry about your SAT scores, your ACT scores, your GPA, your letters of recommendation, taking the specific extracurriculars to get exactly where you wanted to. And on top of all of this, you were still applying to college. You were dealing with the whole process of applying to college, writing multiple essays, and just dealing with all of that. And also, you were going to school. You were going to school 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. And for some people, you were doing more for different tasks that you needed to do. But when you look back at it and you think about it, was that all you had to worry about? Was all you had to worry on was your high school profile? For some people, it's not really the same. They don't only worry about their high school profile and making their high school experience the exact thing that they needed for the college application. For some people, it's not even an attainable idea to think about going to college because some people have to struggle with their family status, their family income, or just the environment that they're in, just inhibiting them from achieving higher education. And because of this, I think local governments must make higher education more accessible to the vast majority of students. Now, why do we look at this? Why should we look at making higher education more accessible to the vast majority of students? For one, more people have the chance to be more educated. More people who, on the other case, would not be likely to go to college, have the chance to go to college. And when they go to college, they are going into careers that they aspire to be in. Careers are growing and workforces are growing. So the workforce is therefore more successful and also more diverse. So first I want to really look at a case study by Guinea Betancourt, and she looked at high school juniors in a CTE program. And what she really found was that the juniors in this CTE program, after watching them over the year, she found that they still found value in going to college and achieving a college degree on top of their CTE program. Now, if you're not really sure what a CTE program is, it's a career and technical program in high school, and it usually just prepares you for a job and just the careers outside of school. It doesn't necessarily prepare you for careers and jobs outside straight after college, but it's just getting you grounded a little bit if you're just going straight out into the world after high school. But when she looked at these students in these programs, she still found that they were wanting to integrate their experiences in this program and in higher education to get to the career aspirations that they wanted to do. So this is really, again, showing how post-secondary school is really necessary in some cases and in sometimes most cases, because a lot of jobs nowadays are just requiring a post-secondary school degree of some kind. So when we start to make the integration between these two factors, we can really start to grow our workforce in the future and make it really successful. So I also want to look at a study by Imad Haburi in the International Journal of Managerial Finance. And what he was really looking at was the education level of those in a workforce. How educated were those people working in a workforce? And what he really found was that the poorly educated individuals in a workforce were more inclined to have finance obstacles in their future. So if you're not having a very educated workforce, you're going to come across many obstacles in your firm or in your industry of any kind. And he did this by looking at surveys in the World Bank Enterprise Surveys. And again, this is really a very vital point because small and medium enterprises really are vital for our socioeconomic development in the future. And when we begin to fix the problems about education now, we can really grow and change our future. So what can we do about this? Like, what are the ways that we can make higher education just more accessible to all? For one, we can look at lowering expenses, lowering the cost of the whole entirety of going to college in general. So this is taking a look at college programs in the high school, which is AP exams, SAT exams, and just applying to college. And for some, fee waivers do count, but fee waivers sometimes are really specific and really just not helpful to some students as they are to other students. And also the tuition that just comes from college in general, because college is quite the expensive place to be in. I know some friends of mine who have already thought about dropping out multiple times because donors who are paying for the tuition are not able to do so in any regard. So first, I really want to take a look at a book by Sarah Godric Rabb called Paying the Price. And what she was finding, she was also appalled by it, was that colleges were awarding financial needs based on financial aid, based on talent and not need. So the talent actually is merit, but the merit, sometimes she was finding that students with a B average or a mediocre SAT score were just having more financial aid granted to them than other people who really needed it based on income status and environment. And so what I really think we need to do is like assess the individual more closely when it comes to financial need and actually aid them more than a loan or making them debt ridden for the rest of their lives in this regard. Grants can only go so far, but we really just need to also look beyond grants and what we can do more for individuals as a whole. And when we also do this, we can see that completion rates for colleges will rise because most people are not worried about dropping out because of a debt or money that they can't pay in any regard. So also when we look at the application process, in a journal in the Education Finance Policy, Swerve, Joshi, and Stephen Barnes were looking at high schools in Louisiana, and then they were looking at the Career Compass in these high schools. So if you're wondering what the Career Compass is, it is a program that is actually just preparing you for a career and jobs outside of high school and in the real world. So basically it's looking at different careers that you can and just exploring jobs for you and just things you can do straight out of high school. And it's not saying you have to go to college, but it is just showing you different ways to integrate the high school and college better. So it is making your costs lower because it's looking more on an individual basis for what different individuals needs. And for most of these individuals, what they found is that it lowered the cost for them in most parts, and it was actually increasing their enrollment rates. And it made the transition easier, and the services were provided in schools of all districts for the most parts. So now I want to take a look at what this can look like. This can look like for our future and what it can look like already in other countries. So when low-income students begin to go to these colleges that they're able to go to, they end up achieving higher education at a much higher rate for the most part. So I want to look at an article in the Economic Studies by Jason Delisle. So what he was really looking at was Chile, which is a country in South America. And he was looking at Chile's integration and transition to free college in 2011. And what he found was that low-income students were being awarded more government aid based on gratuity. So more students were going to college. And as more students were going to college, they had a higher chance of completing this degree and going into their desired careers. And when they do this, more people are in the careers and they would have a more diverse workforce and a more successful workforce for the most part. This is also a thing in European countries. I know for the most part, whenever people think of free college, especially in my country of Nigeria, I know a lot of people go abroad for their studies, and a lot of times they go to the eastern side because college is freer over there. So we also see how their work-life balance is and how successful their workplaces are overall. So what I really want to hone in for the most part, what I want to say is that higher accessibility to higher education can really have a positive impact on our socioeconomic development in the future and what it can do for most students. So we can begin to look at the integrations from high school to college and the affordability, and this can just, again, increase the workforce benefits. The workforce might be more successful, more diverse than it usually is. So as local governments really just increase the access to higher education, they might find that youths do not struggle as much to get into college and to deal with the whole college tuition and the expenses that come with everything. So this can really have a really positive effect on our future and our economic sense for the most part. And hopefully in the future we can start to take a look at students in high school, and maybe they're only worried about their high school profile. Maybe they're not worried about their tuition, but they're actually just worried about building the high school profile to get into college because they know that they are accounted for in our system. Thank you.